I would say yes. I feel a poem should go beyond its initial phase of inspiration and tap into its fullest potential. Sometimes the inspiration really works, and with practice, you know if it's a poem that has rightfully formed or is it even almost there. But sometimes, for me, I have a list of elements that could be utilized in a poem, a sort of construction where it's not necessary that you use all that you have and you leave a few ideas so that the poem structure is sound and it is not struggling to do too many things at the same time. It should be able to breathe plus retain a certain musicality that raises the poem above the limitations that words have. I'm usually working with a set of poems at a given time, based on ideas I think are viable to develop. For me, there is a constant process of refining which might stretch to months. No, I don't refine every day, but I get back to a poem when I feel strongly that I might have something to add or change within the poem. It is possible I might lose interest too if the poem is not going anywhere. But matter of factly, I do find light when I have felt the darkness has prevailed, prevailed for a while. I consider that a gift.
I think editing is an extremely important part of writing. It is as important as writing itself. In fact, I think that, there is no need to say, use a word like editing. It is just another stage of writing itself. Now, I did not really edit much of my works, but it was a friend and fellow poet, Soni Somarajan, who told me that, you need to edit your work. You need to take another look at it, and you need to see how you can make it better. And that's when I, kind of began to look at my work. And I thought, yeah, this could benefit from a bit of pruning. This could benefit from a bit of afterthought. Perhaps this is not the best way to put it. And slowly, words began to change. The syntax began to change. The way that I placed my line breaks began to change. And things began to read infinitely better. And, while I'm all for, being in the moment and writing in the moment, that's wonderful. One should do that because probably there are these, rush of chemicals in your brain that lets you, be beautifully creative. But then, when the storm has subsided, it is always better to take a look. Look at the shipwreck that you have created and see what you can salvage. That's one way of looking at it. But editing is a very vital part of writing. And I come back to my poems after a couple of days. Sometimes I do the drafting immediately, create a couple of drafts. Then I come back to it and I realize that, after a few days, when all the storm and the dust has settled down, there are so many things that I can afford to leave unsaid. There are things that I should trust the reader to have the intelligence to understand. And it is from that respect, editing is also lending a certain sense of respect to your readers. You don't have to over explain. There's no need of an overkill in terms of that. The grass was green. No, there's no need of that kind of a thing. So it's a form of according respect is what I think. And also it is something that everybody owes themselves. Because when you go back, there is always a comma that was not needed. There was always a full stop you could have gotten rid of. There was always a better word. And editing is not a process that ends, You can just keep on doing it all your life and still there would be something left for your successor to take up. So editing is also knowing when to stop. That's it.
Oh, there are so many who have influenced me. Heaney is one for sure. Atmatova. Baudelaire, Gillian Clark, Dummeries, Kolatkar, Arjun Rajendran, Somarajan, Navnita Kanungu. I'm also a member of a poetry collective called the Quarantine Train, and it has so many poets whose work I deeply respect and admire. Uh, I also want to add that related to the art of poetry itself, a book I have thoroughly enjoyed and feel every fan of poetry uh, should read is How to Read a Poem and Fall in Love with Poetry by Edward Hirsch.
Well, I had been reading Rilke for quite some time now. But then I got into this entire, thing of reading Indian poets, and I realized, how much I was missing out. So I have been reading the Hindi poems by Manglesh Dabral and, the poems by Kuwar Narayan. Okay. And at this point of time, my three most famous favorite poets are Eunice D'Souza, Vijay Nambishan, and Arun Kolatkar. And I can't choose my most favorite between the three of them. Now, they are my favorite at the moment. Sometime back, it was Priya Sarukai Chhabria and Arjun Rajendran, One Man, Two Executions, and Sing of Life. Yeah? But at this point of time, this hour, this minute, it is Eunice D'Souza and Arun Kolatkar. In particular, Arun Kolatkar, I was just rereading his The Policeman. It's a book of line drawings, as well as Jejuri and his collected poems. And I think I'm in love all over again. Okay. So these are the people I would recommend at this point of time. If you haven't read Kolatkar, please go back and read him. If you haven't read Eunice D'Souza, please do read her. And Vijay Nambishan is an absolute gem. The way that he looks at the world around and brings out all those different significations to actions that we would consider perfectly ordinary or would not really spend much time over. So these poets and the sort of vocabularies that they have left behind, the simple syntaxes that hide within them kernels of a revolution, actually speaking. So those are the people that I would recommend at this point of time. I hope you take it up.
Ode to a Pineapple. Look at the cloak of secrecy. What might hide within the great green spire? In the blueprint of an assault, countless flowers have fused into one. The dovetailing holds a labyrinth for secrets. Covet this wild crown. Ignore its waxy battlement. Snub the pricks in your quest, getting closer to the truth. Armed with strange love, cut through its armor everything that restrains change. Shed of weight, it weeps gently, the air suffused with fermenting sweetness. Cut further along its flanks, blind in diagonal, its many eyes, one by one. Sightless, it yields under a resolute sun. Observe the wedges, lined with tiny cannon traps. Prepare for a countercharge on your senses.
This one's called Mortality. The rain repels down with iron resolve, and to great applause, only to dissolve into mud, water, puddle, flood, splash, thirst, an inscrutable sameness. The more cautious sort of rain tries to find a footing on banana leaves and coconut fronds, parachuting to rooftops, becoming poetry on a crowded street, hoping to be something more to soften the blow. But all is slither, downhill, an afternoon of inevitability.